down and checking your qualifications to see whether I would get the exams officer to have a check as well and to see if they are actually what you've entered your students for. I think in year 11, I think you've got a couple of warnings towards the bottom.
I think some of them I'd say to them last year, because some of our art ones, they ended up going better this year. Last year they weren't specific enough last year. In year 10 they cut corners to go into year 10.
Which year is this?
This is 11. Do you want to go to year 10 for you so you can show it?
Okay. Yeah, if you just go to year 10 and you scroll down. So I would get your exams officer to check that they have actually got the right plans, because that can make a big difference.
Last summer was great. Let's just do it all.
And at the year, on the year 10, so one of the things I would do in preparation for the summer is to check down this and check whether they're all okay. Some of the classic things to look for, and in fact, if you give your these plans, it actually contains more information than we've covered today, because it's from the training course, as I said, we did in-house last week. Oh, sorry.
That's right.
But there is a bit of a checklist in there as well that you can work through on the second page of things to look for in your subjects and qualifications. So one of the things you want to look for is whether you've got any of the warning signs, where it's got a little exclamation mark, which I know that John has. And again, I would ask your exams officer to check down the plans to make sure you've got the right sort of qualifications there. That looks like you've probably got an expired qualification. So therefore it's not going to count.
There are some kids that are doing old spec and some doing case spec, so is that...
If you had the result for this and uploaded it, it's going to be counted because that's not a qualification. So you want to check that you have got all the right qualifications. Other things to look for are the discount codes, particularly things like art, discount code. I don't think you've got any issues with those, but it's still worth keeping an eye on having a check. Sometimes some of the languages can be wrong. I think actually if you look at
I could spot my problems.
in your year 11, I think your RE, I think you've got, it says it's a short course, but you've got the course, this one here, and you've got the course, and therefore that would count in your statistics, it would count. So that's something, so that's why it's important that you've got the right qualifications. Now, I could put that they are doing the full, I don't know, but those are the sort of things that you want to have a look
Can you
for.
see, if you click on that, does that tell you which children are doing that?
If you click on that, it will go to that subject and that mark.
Okay,
So then you would see
double check
those
these
students.
children, because there's quite a lot that have been taken out on there.
So these are some of the things that you just want to look for. Yeah.
So if
These groups are.
if there's a student that's been taken out, and they're still showing both schools as doing the subject for whatever reason, there's no mark at the end of it, does that?
If there was no grade, you would have a grade to upload to the account. If you didn't want to have them in the group because it's going to affect your residuals, you've got group means you need to remove them. Now, the subjects are locked.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the summer term, Go for Schools will lock year 9 to 13. Now, one of you, I can't remember which one it is, has
Me.
unlocked.
I would not get it.
You've unlocked yours, so yours okay. So any changes you make in Sims will come through. You haven't unlocked yours. The reason why we lock it is because some schools make a lot of changes to their timetable. For example, they might not timetable their year 11 to the full end of the academic year. And once we get a feed every night from Sims, and it's what's on there, those are the students, and that's how they appear in those groups, and they would disappear and you would lose all your stats and ranks and range and everything, and schools wouldn't want that too. So to avoid that happening, we lock the subjects. Now if you're not making timetables changes, you could just unlock your subjects. But if you want to keep your subjects locked so they're not changing, but you want to take someone out, then we have a group membership tool, and Andrew's going to cover that in the next session because that's a new thing. And there's a page where you can simply remove that student if she's not. So she'll show you the group membership tool next session. Okay, which I believe is the next session. So other things you might want to check on your list of qualifications include things like if you've got, if in the summer you've got say like BTEC Sport, and it's you've got your mark book set up as an extended subject, but you've got some students who are just going to do the certificate, you need to make another mark book so you've got them so you can count separately, because your want to enter the results against right
Yeah, BTECs are often the ones where they'll all enter on a certain one, and then halfway through they'll go, well, you haven't done enough work, so you're going to do this
just when they
sub-diploma
cash it
rather
in,
than
yeah.
diploma.
So for that, you would then need to create a feed rule, use feed rule to
Create
move your
subject,
students
move
into a
into
new
a
subject.
And
Yeah.
attach a new
So, so at this point, you want to get that set up before you get to results day.
I don't think, well, I don't think they've changed it, but I know they can
If you
get
haven't
very
done it on the
specific.
day, you can upload your exam results using the QUAN as well instead of the subject name, but you just wouldn't have the analysis available to you, so it's better if you've got those kind of things. If you've done any sort of after school things, like suppose you do an after school astronomy thing, you haven't had a mark book, you might want to create that now as a mark book for subjects, and you've got that to put the results into as well. If you've got any students doing an odd language, you might not want to have a mark book, but you might want to still put the results in using
Like Human Language
that
Irish,
QUAN
for
code.
example,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's quite common. For your year 10s, you need to make, I think they've got a couple of issues on there as well. I think for yours, John, you've got dance, the subject dance. I think that you've got down to GCSE PE, which may be correct. You might just want to check that. And for yours, I think your Spanish, you've got down with a French qualification.
No, it's
Oh,
me.
no, oh, that's you, is it?
I've got French, it's most the same.
Oh,
I'm looking
yeah,
now, you see
now.
they've done the mark books wrong.
So it's probably your dance.
I'll go and tell them.
PE. So if you have to change one of these and you need to change the QUAN, do you all know how to do that?
Oh,
You can do it in the mark book, or you can just click on that little spanner that's just to the left and go straight there and just change the qualification. So it's quite straightforward. It's always worth checking your year 13s as well, that you haven't got any AS when there should have been A2, etc., and your year 12s, so you've got the right qualifications.
Training qualifications is quite easy for GCSE reviews, but for BTECs it can be more than you should set up mark books, and then there's a different grading scheme.
It's if the
It then
grade
throws a
type-
bit of a
yeah.
it goes,
It
you
won't-
can't do that.
It won't allow you just to change it if there's different grade types,
It
and that's
will
the problem with
reset the
AS and
entire thing.
A2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would download the
Yeah.
marks,
Yes, keep it separate.
reset it, and then
Then have to create a new mark book, clone the new mark book.
yeah, or if you just take the marks out, you have to take the grades out, because while it's got some
Yeah.
grades in, it's got
Yeah.
this problem that it can't reconcile the A star to not having an A star, etc. So if you take them out and remove the grades, and you've got like your targets and things as well,
Yeah.
and just save them file, clear them out, then you can just change the qualification, and then you can just upload them again. So
Yeah.
you've got that problem. I think John, actually, for your year 12s, I think you might have an issue with your science qualifications as well. That you
That
might
BTEC one.
No, for the biology, I think the biology is doing A2, but your chemistry and physics are on AS.
Right.
So there's a little bit of inconsistency, which you just may want to review. And I think your year 13 chemistry is using AS as well. It's where people have copied mark books and not changed the qualification. So this page is really useful at the beginning of the term as well, when you set up your mark books, just to check, particularly this year. We're going to a very mixed year with new qualifications at sixth form, and at year 10 we'll have this big mix of 9-to-1s and GCSEs. So it's worth using that when you do your setup. Okay, so that's something for you to work through later, just checking your qualifications. Oh, I should mention, at your Key Stage 3, do you need to make sure that you've got your English, Maths and Science specific versions, but I think you both have actually. So I think you're probably okay with those. Next thing to have a little look at is to review your student attributes that you want to use for the summer. I'm just going to show that on the screen, student attributes for a moment. So be aware, can you everybody see the screen from there?
Yep.
When your senior leadership wants to look at their focus groups, if you go through the full statistics page and look at see what focus groups have got to set up, because now you can make sure that you've got the ones that they want to use on the day to analyse the results, to make sure that you've got the right groups. So when it comes up, and I'm going to look and see what we've got created already, and then show you the difference for which ones you have. Now these focus groups correspond to whatever you've got in your student attributes, and some of those student attributes are your system ones that have come through from SIMS, such as gender, EAL, pupil premium, all the demographic kind of things, and then any school-defined ones where you've set up some yourselves. Now you have got some set up yourselves. One of you's got an extra pupil premium, which may may be deliberate because you may be putting, you may have split out pupil premium that's funded towards, as opposed to those that are actually pupil premium students. I don't know, or it may just be an error, and you should need to just have one. When I was in school, I used to create a separate one for disadvantage, so that I had the pupil premium that's coming through from SIMS, from where I'd imported them from Key to Success, but then I'd have a disadvantage where I didn't include my service children, so I could separate out the two things, and that worked well for us because when we had an Ofsted focusing on disadvantage, we had the actual disadvantage figures that then matched our race online. But one that you probably want, but you haven't got, is the prior attainment, because then that will tie up your race online, so you might want to create your focus groups to do that. So if I show the focus groups that I've got here, and I'm going to look for one particular measure, I'm going to look on the A Star C English and Maths, I can see which ones I've got. So I've got I've got a disadvantage, I've got ethnicity, I've got registration group, which I'm not really interested in, I've got various other ones, but I've got no prior attainment one. But on this demo school, we have created an attribute for prior attainment. So I'll leave this screen here for a moment. I'm just going to show you the actual student attribute page as well. I've got. So I'll open that in. You might want to look at your student attributes as well. So you've got your school ones at the top, the ones from SIMS at the bottom. I've got one here called prior attainment. I've got data in it, but it's not being used for analysis of attainment. You can see from the columns here. So that's why it's not showing my focus groups. If you want that to show when you put your results in, you need to click that, which is very easy to do. On prior attainment, just scroll across. Then change the settings. And all I need to do is tick the box, use it for analysis of attainment data, and save it. And at the same time, I'm going to take that reg group one off because I don't particularly want to have that one. So if I untick it from here, now I can go back to here after refresh the page and go back in. We'll see the difference that it's made. So it's worthwhile having to think now, what do you want to be able to analyse your results on the results day, and getting your attributes to reflect that. Go back in, go back down to the same measure, which is my A Star English and Maths, and now I can see I've got my prior attainment, and I can see that whilst overall I can see that my high achievers, those that came in at 4 and above in year 7, 96% of them got their A Star to C in English and Maths, and it was only 25.8 for those that came in at less than 4, etc. So by tidying up your attributes and working out which ones you need, you've got all that. As soon as you've uploaded your results, all your analysis will be in there, whatever figures you want. Definitely prior attainment is the one to have because that will match what you've got on your race online. Talking matching what you've got on your race online, what you've got on your performance tables. It is worth considering you will have just been through the table checkings exercise where you have a chance to say if you've got any students that you don't want to be reported in your performance table. Classic one that schools sometimes have, and I had a school the other day had 11 of them, where they've got students who joined after the start of year 10 having come from a country where English is an official language, and you don't have to have them reported in your figures. So if you have chosen to have them taken out, then you probably want to take them out your stats as well. And to do that, there is a relatively new student attribute that wasn't there last year. It's actually a system one, it's right at the bottom. It's this one called Student Statistics Rule. And it's unusual because it is a system one rather than a school-defined one, but it doesn't actually pull any data from your MIS. So if you have got those students that you do want to force them to be excluded, you would just go into that on the right and do the manage values. I don't know whether that applies to any of you. Certainly in year 13 there are more complicated rules about when they can be, when you can not count, when they count, when they don't count, particularly if they've done 3 years, they can only be counted once. So if you have them count last year because they've done 2 A levels and they've come back and done them again this year, they can't be counted twice. So you might want to force them to be not counted. Right. So you'd add a new set of values because there aren't any there at the moment for academic year 2016. Click OK. Let's do that as well. You want to go to the student attribute one. Oh, okay, David's doing. You would add a new set of values. Academic year 2016. Yeah. OK. Okay, and then to force a student to be excluded, you would just, if you click on the arrow to the side for name, and you would just put excluded from stats. The included from stats allows you to, if you've got guest students, it's particularly has applied to some of our schools with sort of consortium and sixth form. They've got a lot of guest students, which by default we don't include in the statistics because they would normally count against the school where they're on roll with. You can force them to be included, so you can be looking at your stats with them in the dual registered. If you're the main school, they count as your statistics. If you're the subsidiary, they don't, and so by default both schools won't count if they're the subsidiary, they won't be included in your statistics. If you wanted to force them to see what it was with them in, you could do that. You could set that on including stats, then they would be included, and then you could take them out if you wanted to. So you could change that if you wanted to do that. So that's new this year, I think, allowing you to do this, so that might be of interest to you. There is a list in the pack on the checklist. There's a list of sort of the main things that why you can have them not report on your tables, checking exercise, etc. Yes. You want to make sure if you've had any results, if you had results already, if you had like your year 10 took your science last year, you want to make sure you've already put those results in if you haven't got them in already, rather than wait till the day. If they did them in 2015, but you haven't put them in, make sure when you upload them, you upload them to 2015, yeah, to the previous year, not to this year. And make sure you've got all your Key Stage 2 in as well. So Progress 8 this year is going to be taking some Key Stage 2. It's going to be using the decimals as well.
Where's the best place to get the decimal?
Have you got yours in as decimals on your
I don't think we have any problem with some levels at the moment.
tell you what?
I'm sure.
Yeah, you've got all yours as sub-levels. So we would recommend you've got all yours in as decimals, so you're okay. To get them as decimals, you can, where did you get yours from? From Fisher? Or?
We got ours from Fisher, yeah.
Yeah, so some people get them from Fisher, that's probably the easiest way. If not, you can get them from Key to Success. They added a column, but it's a column on the end. I think it's an average, so it's not separate English and maths, so that doesn't really help you. And it was also done as fine points, so it's like 27.42 instead of being the level. But then you can just divide by 6 if you have got it. But if you get your raw score from Key to Success, where you've got the raw marks out of 100 for maths, out of 80 for English, whichever way around it is, we've got a new guide on the help and technical support, guide to uploading Key Stage 2, and in there we've got a link where you can download a spreadsheet we've created, switch the year to the year because obviously the thresholds change each year. You can put your raw marks in and get back your decimal from there. So, and then you can just use that just to put in marks and find out what the decimal level is. There's in the help and technical support, in the guidance documents, there's one on uploading Key Stage 2 data that you can have a look at. So yeah, you might want to check whether you've got any missing ones. So in the last 5 years, you might have got students who've come, and if you've been putting them all in at the beginning of year 7, you might find you've got some gaps. And obviously, every student's going to count. If you had some students who came in on a level B or an N, Progress 8 calculation uses their teacher assessment level, so you might want to upload that instead of a B or an N. You might actually want to upload their teacher assessment just to improve your accuracy. Right, uploading your exam grades. So have you done that before? How comfortable are you with uploading your exam grades? You've obviously done it plenty of times, then I gather, John, have you?
I've done it twice, and do you know what? If you ask me now, I have no idea how I did it, but
Right.
I know at the time.
We'll have a brief recap then, because it's a once-a-year job that always makes it that much harder. Have put in the pack some screenshots that I took from Sims of one way. There's different ways of getting the data out of Sims. Some use a certificate broadsheet, but it doesn't always give you the date of birth and the gender that you need to have the format for uploading to go to school.
I tend
There is
to
another way.
matching where I get students out, I go to school, and then just
Yeah.
Because legal names and preferred names.
Yeah, I
and
found
everything
actually
like
there is
that.
an export from Sims, there's a screenshot in the pack actually,
Yeah.
where you do export
Yeah.
rather than using the certificate broadsheets and add your rewards, and you can get them all out. And when you've got them out, they will look like this.
Yeah.
So that's much easier. You've got what you need there. You've got the surname, forename, date of birth, and gender, so you can get rid of the other columns. To upload, you do need to change the name of the subject. So, or the subject rather than the name needs to match whatever you've got in your markbook and go for schools. So you need to. I used to print out myself a list of the actual subject names beforehand, so you knew exactly what they were called. So it's just a case of changing all these. For example, that to law, that to sociology, etc. Just change your names, get rid of the ones that we don't need. Don't need any of those columns, and any of those columns. So I've just got name, date of birth, gender, subjects, and the results. I can save that. And then I'll go to schools. When you go to upload them, so I'm going to go through the grades and actual grades. In the current year, I'm going to upload my year 11s. What should I go back a page? That was one row per student, and I've got all the subjects. I need to convert it first. On this page is the grade, is a link to the grade file conversion tool. Grade file conversion, there it is. Click on that. I can just choose the file, find it. Upload and convert, and it instantly gives it back to me in the format that I need for uploading, where it's where I've got one record per student per subject. Things to look out for are that if you've got like OCR Nationals, I think, where the qualification might come out as being level 2 pass, but the mark book is expecting it to be L2P. So that's one that you just need to change before you upload. The other thing that I found actually was that on Sims there was a little box that you could tick, and when you tick the little box, you got it in that format instead. Obviously then you've got to get rid of, you've got a few more columns to get rid of, and you've got to go and change your names, but you can do a global find and replace or something to change them, or filter them and change them, sort of change whatever. And so some people find that way easier. And again, you've then got choices that shows you both legal and chosen surnames, so you can pick which one you want to use. So that might just be helpful to, because I know that's a bit of a pain if you take them out and put the date of birth, you've got to get the format right. So hopefully that might help. The other thing to say about when you get to exams day, or the day before actually, you turn on the embargo through the settings, remember it's just a tick of the box. That stops anyone from seeing the results other than those who've got school manager access. You might want to review that. If you want the students, you want staff to be able to log on to see results the next day, students and parents rather, you can use the visibility to control. That's what I used to do. So I used to take off the visibility to students and parents the day before when I did the embargo. So the next day when we released the embargo and put that back on, they still couldn't see them until I was ready for them to do so. If you've got any VTEX or anything where you haven't got the results in Sims, you're able to collect those in and upload them as well. And if you've got any subjects where you haven't got mark books for, you can upload them using the plan. You may want to, at this point, you might want to consider changing which grades you're tracking on. So you're currently tracking on your current grade or your projected grade, and you might want to go into the grade settings and just change that to be tracking on the actual grade, so that then when you've got your home page, your main stats, it will then be the actual grade column that will be highlighted, and your ribbon will show actual targets as well. If you want to swap back, so you're aware, you can choose another ribbon and select that as well, and have them both display side by side. can still see them, but you might want to make the actual one default. If you do that, when you get the next academic year will start with whatever your default one is, your current grade or whatever. But if you go back into the previous academic year, you'll be looking at the actual grade, will be the one that you're tracking on. That will be your default. Okay. Start of the year process. So that's got your results in. That's that done. We have to get asked about the changeover to the new academic year. We change academic year when we get a feed. The first time we get the feed from SIMS, where your year 7s are now in year 8 and those who are in year 8 are in year 9 being doing promotion. That's the only way that we know which year students are in and how we can put them in the right groups and the right mark books, etc. So we can't do it early, which is something like it is reliant on your SIMS promotion. Obviously, some people want to get set up with things and go for schools beforehand, if possible. But there are some things that you can only do when we've got the groups and got the new academic year, unfortunately. But we are saying to schools, it would help you if you can get your SIMS to start the academic year on the 1st of September. Certainly don't, and have your group membership start right at the beginning of the academic year as well. Because sometimes what happens is schools have their students starting on the first day that the kids are back, and you've had a couple of professional days, but you've only had the students as members of the group from the first day back. You want to have their group membership starting right from the beginning of term, so that they will then appear in your mark books and you've then got those professional days with those students all in their groups. So I would suggest that you do that. At the start of the year, you'll need to do a couple of things: set up your calendar just to mark the holidays and training days, etc. And if you're on a 2-week timetable, to set that up. You will need to do your feed rules as well. Again, people often ask about this. We can't actually do your same set of feed rules because your groups and things have all changed and will have different names, etc. So you do have to do your feed rules again. You probably find at the beginning you don't have too many. To help you, that you can from the feed rule page, you can see what all your feed rules at the bottom. You can download ones for this year, but you can also download last year. So when you've got your new year, ones that you've got this year will be there for you to quickly download to have a look at, to remind you what you had. But the classic ones you'll need to consider is if you've timetabled English as a single subject, which most schools have, you'll need to copy your English language into your English Lit group. A lot of people say, well, we only teach English Lit in year 11. You do need to have the group there in year 10, and you do need to have data in it as well, because that's affecting the Progress 8 slots, because it isn't going to double count the English if you haven't got the literature as well. Similarly with your science, with core science and additional, again, a lot of people don't have the additional until year 11, but you need to have the mark book and marks and targets raised in there from year 10 as well, because that's going to affect, it's a slot on the Progress 8 bucket, and it also affects the measure for the EVAP, whether you've got 2 sciences or not. So you need to have those. If you've got triple science, if one of you's got triple science timetabled, that you haven't split out, for you, will it?
It's to the science department.
Okay. If they're doing triple science, you need to have the 3 qualifications.
Yeah, you
so
do.
it's got the
It's
3,
right.
because it's affecting your Progress
I've
8
had that
slots.
conversation so many times, and it will be separated out very shortly.
And what I used to do
Bless you.
actually, one of the things I used to do, because they would be like, well, we're not teaching the additional text here, we don't want to enter any marks. So once a term, I would take what they've got in the core science and copy it into the additional science, just so that we've got a full set of what the student's going to be doing for the overriding Progress 8, Attainment 8,
I think they'll be doing the copy, or be me. I'll make them do it.
Make them do it, right, very good. You also want to do your feed rules if you've got any extra curricular groups that aren't timetabled, you need to set those up, etc. The more things you can get right in SIMS, like naming and having the groups correct, the easier it will make it year on year. You won't have to keep doing changes. And another passive one to think of for your feed rules, if you've got any double subjects like double health and social, and they've been timetabled all in the same group, but some are only doing single, so you need your feed rule to pull them out, just move out the students into a new mark book for this single, because otherwise you can't do it as a double qualification all the time, and when you're doing single, so that's something to look out. Also at the beginning of the year, or can you both do it on yours, if you want to have a look at your students, if you go to your student access, so from the manage access control and students.
I never got any because I ain't got the emails for them.
Yeah, so yours haven't got any, even though you've made it visible to them, they can't, none of them
It's
can
just to
log
annoy
on.
them. It's just to annoy them. So they can see what they could get, but they can't get. It's because, yeah. Another ongoing conversation about student email addresses.
Okay, I think you've got a couple who haven't got any, probably
Yeah,
new
they haven't
students.
got, no, they're,
All right.
I know about those, but
Is
whenever
there a
they're a new
way?
student, I don't know.
Because our student email addresses do exist.
Right.
I can find them on my, if I can find a student, if I could email a student,
Right,
is there an easy way that I can get them onto jobs?
if you've got a spreadsheet of them, so I don't know how you've got them, and you know, and you can match the UPN to the student's email,
There's 3 students.
Because the way they've set it up messily,
right?
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So as a result, it's not easy for me to
Right.
attain the list of email addresses, which is really weird. So I can send them an email to every student.
Right.
By the time you just type in student, and all their emails get tied into it, and send them all a message in one go. But getting a list that I can put onto those schools apparently is too complicated for the school. So I'm a bit off. There's got to be an easy way, because this has been set up for a year now,
Yeah.
in terms of ready for student email addresses. They haven't been
And do their email addresses follow a set pattern?
Apparently there is a pattern, apparently.
But it's hard to
I'd say
know.
apparently, yes, it's a pattern that works perfectly for the computer systems manager guy. And when he explained it to me, it made perfect sense to him. It didn't make any sense to me.
I'd ask him then for a list, ask him to give you a spreadsheet
Last
with
time I
the
said
students' emails in, and then you,
You
yeah.
might find a way to find
I think the phrase, they're on the system.
maybe we can't do it.
Okay, I'll resolve
Most
it.
students, I think, without going to Sims and checking it, I think they're dual registered on their.
Okay, so perhaps you don't want them to have access, they haven't got email access.
No,
It's just sometimes when you get new ones, they do get missed.
Yeah,
But come
no,
the
that's
point
my
of
new
this
issue,
bit was
yeah.
September, you'll have your year sevens to
Yeah.
put in, and if you've got any year 12s that come externally,
There are.
you'll have them to put on as
Yeah.
well. So that's kind of, we put this on the
Can't
notes,
just
just a bit of a
overflow
checklist.
those 3 that don't have any, because it does always be signing that there are 3 without.
Oh, I see, no, because it's got three students in the system.
And they're there, unless they're not in Sims, they won't.
But it's not going to be complicated, is it? It's just going to be a standard name, email address.
Yeah, it's,
CSV
it
file.
comes up, if you downloaded the file, it's got the UPN in it, you have to add, it's like their network address or something, isn't it? Yeah.
See,
Have a quick look at theirs, and if you like.
I will.
What you don't want to do is make the classic mistake that I made the first time I did it. I took out all the ones I'd already got and just filled in the gaps, and it doesn't work like that.
No,
You
you
need
have
to
to
leave
leave all of those.
You only made that mistake
So
once.
when
Yeah.
I get a new admission, like,
Yeah, you
I
just-
then get the IT guys to give me this,
That's it.
and then this bit's the same, so it just adds on that bit, and then I download it and I re-upload it to make
Yeah.
sure they've got one.
So it's just one of those tasks on Thursday, so it's on the checklist, remember to do that. Right, the next thing, we've only got a few minutes left really, is setting up your mark books. So a lot of people want to set up mark books early, ready in preparation for next academic year early. So what we've done is I've put some notes, and I'll refer you to those in the pack. There is a sheet on, or this one, on setting up mark books for the next academic year in advance. And it's got a couple of examples that you can work through, where you can create your mark book now. So use the feed rule to copy a subject, create yourself a new mark book, hide it, exclude it from the stats. You could use that mark book now. So if there was a scenario where you're creating a group, say year 9, and the year 8 teacher wants to start entering marks in next year's mark book now, they could do so, and then next year you can just copy it across and copy the marks across as well. And there are more options now that you copy across. So it could be grades or marks or both. Or what some people would do, which is quite a good idea, I think, is if you have a template one, particularly Key Stage 3, especially if you're moving away from national curriculum levels, you start a new scheme, you might want to set up one mark book exactly as you want it, perhaps with your data collection points in if you're doing fixed points a term. Have that. If you do your data collection points, some people are doing them with a mark sheet per half term or whatever, per collection point, and then going through and changing the weighting each time. The problem with that is sometimes the weightings doesn't get changed in your accounting latest assessment point. If you do it as one mark sheet, your data collection points, and then have your assessments in there, or 6 of them, however many you have, and use the rightmost one, 6 of them, the last one, that works much better. People then say, well, I can't tell whether they've done it or not. You put your due date in, then you get the exclamation mark, you can see at a glance who hasn't done them. If you do that, if you create a template one to do that with your dates in, you can use that one, copy it across all your different subjects, you'll have got the dates set up for all of them, and then in September you book across. When you copied it across, then go to your subject and qualification page and change the qualifications to make sure you have got the right qualifications. Okay, so I'll leave that with you.
That's usually something staff do go back by lines, so they can't obviously, at the moment, they have to be saying on their markers until they're back at school. And someone says, well, I could do it in someone, it could be something I do in a day.
So what we're suggesting is now you would use a feed rule to create a new subject or copy of the subject, hide it, make sure it doesn't encounter any stats. And some people put their targets in, even if you've got those ready, you can upload your targets into there now. So then it's, when you copy it across in September, everything's already there. There's some different scenarios in that document. There is also a new placeholder for the new 9 to 1 qualifications, because we haven't finished the import yet for all the new qualifications, because there's hundreds of thousands of them, I think. And Ofqual have very kindly changed the format of the file as well. I don't know if you've been on the Ofqual register in the last couple of days, but suddenly it's like, oh, it's all different. We will be doing that over the summer, but meanwhile there is a 9 to 1 one that you can use, and then in September you just put in the correct qualification. Andrew will touch on that in the next session. So really, just for the last few minutes to finish off, just to remind you about the help and support section of the site. There's also a new section in there for online resources, which again Andrew will touch on. Where you can get help, where the different places you can get help from. There's also a what's new button at the top. But if in September, a really useful thing to do is you're bound to have some new staff. If when they log in for the first time, if you go to My Settings at the top of the page, My Settings, it's really helpful if your new staff, when they first log in for the first time, obviously they'll be sent a password, but it'll be something completely unrememberable, if that's the word, so they can change it. If you can get them while they're doing it, to make sure they link their name, because we find that a lot of people still get quite a lot of calls from people who can't find their groups, they seem to go through all these menus because they haven't linked, and so they haven't got the shortcuts. So if you get them to link to them, and then make that my homepage using the thing at the top, because unless they're ahead of you and they want to see the year group stats, that can be their homepage. It comes up every time they log on. They'll be focused on their groups with their timetable and their CT plans if you've got that, etc. Their groups for their mark books, and that makes it much easier for them. If you have your school homepage, it's perhaps your year 11 stats. Then each teacher has their own homepage. But if you can get your new staff to do that right at the beginning, that'd be great. So that's about it. I'm going to give you both your health checks things, and some people want to go through. We can do that now. Otherwise, that's largely our time up. But we are around all day. So if you want one, oh, if the wrong way around. Yeah. Sorry. We are around all day.
The attributes, I had really trouble uploading attributes at one point, so there was a few that ended up wrong.
Right, okay, it's quite easy to remove them.
Okay.
If you want to have a look at your student attributes then.
Think of the different sets of
Right, okay, so the student attributes and the student attributes set.
Yes, that's this, I didn't want it, so that's the one we're talking about.
Because you don't want to be having, it's probably come from a different quarters. But
No,
if you go into the
settings,
settings,
so this is the one
I'm not
I
that
wanted to do.
yes, you're right.
And then
No, I'm not got to
Yeah.
choose one you want to get rid of and go into the settings. We have finished the section.